My guest today is Ina Jeffrey. Ina Jeffrey is a virtual personal assistant with over 25 years of experience in administration across various sectors and industries. A year ago, she set up her own virtual assistant business, offering her services to businesses looking to streamline their operations and optimize their processes. Ina is originally from Germany and has been living in Scotland for the last 15 years. And it's no secret that the Germans are an efficient bunch. So I have to say Austrians too. This has earned her reputation a reliable and organized virtual personal assistant, making her an exceptional choice for business owners from different cultural backgrounds looking to improve their productivity and reduce their workload. I warmly welcome Ina Jeffrey. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm so happy to have you because virtual assistants are really important more than ever. So I'm so much looking forward to asking you all these pressing questions that I have, and I know also a lot of other entrepreneurs. Before we dive deep into that, I really would like to know, since you're originally from Germany, why did you go to Scotland? Why did you land there? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, the long and short of it, love brought me here.
The love that we moved to another country, isn't it?
Yeah, mostly, yeah. I was actually living in Cyprus before I came to
Oh,
Scotland for a few
yeah.
years. And that's where I met my now husband. And I followed him to Scotland at some point. I decided, let's go visit. Let's see what Scotland, because I've never been before I moved here. And so I had 2 weeks of work here to Scotland to visit him, tour around all of Scotland, and I fell in love with it. It was like coming home, even though it's a home away from home, but it feels home. It feels home more than Cyprus or the Netherlands, where I also lived, ever felt. So yeah, it's my place.
That's beautiful. So you moved to Scotland, and that's already 15 years ago. It's a long time. And then you have also decided to start your own business. First of all, what were the triggers? You were an employee before. What motivated you to be that courageous and bold to make this step? Now I'm founding my own company. I'm here now offering my services. So, what made you do that?
Well, the last 2 years have, I think, or the last 3 years, should I say, have been challenging for all of us. Pandemic hit. There was a lot going on. I've been employed all my life. I've never been not employed. But in the last few years, there's pandemic, and there was also a lot of upheaval in my personal life. I lost my mom in 2020. I lost a couple of friends during the pandemic as well. I lost both of my cats. I lost a dog, and all of this in the space of 18 months. So, as you can imagine, my life was a bit upside down. I lost my way. I was depressed. Yeah, it was just not a fun place to be. But I clawed my back into the light with a little bit of help of therapy. And once my head was clear again, I knew that I needed to do something. I needed to do something for me. And and the corporate life was just not for me anymore. It didn't feel right. And I knew it was time to start something different and for me. And that's how I researched what I could do. And the virtual assistant world seemed a perfect fit for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry you went through all this trauma, and usually that leads to transitions. And for you, it was
Yes.
from an employee to start your own business. And there's a lot of, let's say, mindset shift going on because this is the first thing that we have to really understand before we start a business to have the mindset of a business owner. There's a lot of things that happened,
Yes.
pushed you into that. And you said there is something that, I want to morph into a new identity that defines you as a business owner. So, how difficult was this
Mm.
process for you to shift into being a business owner? What was the difficult part and what was rather easygoing for you?
I have to honestly say, for me, it was actually fairly straightforward and easygoing because I started it off as a side hustle, so to speak. I still was fully employed. Luckily, I was working in a hybrid model, so I was working from home most of the week. As soon as I finished my work, I just started work on my business, started to plan everything and to see at where it was going, started to promote myself, set up my brand, my website, all the fun stuff. So it was actually fairly smooth for me, the whole process. Yeah, there were some decisions that you needed to make. Okay, so what am I going to call my business? What is my website going to look like? Who am I going to follow? This, that, and the others. So you go down a lot of rabbit holes and bring myself back. Okay, no, let's focus on one thing and then move forward.
Yeah, these challenges usually refer very often to branding. Yeah. So you mentioned it already. How should my website look like? And how should I call my business? And that's where branding comes in. And I really like to ask these questions. What's the story of your logo? What's the story of giving your company a name? So I know that there is also a story behind Savannah Rose. So why did you come up with that brand name for your company?
Well, we're starting this podcast off quite on a personal note because everything in my business is quite personal to me, especially the name of my business. Rose was my mom's name. So that's where the rose comes from. And Savannah is actually when I was in my early 20s, I lost a child. And the name of the child was going to be Savannah. So I knew that from the day I got pregnant. So essentially, the business name brings these three generations together, Savannah and Rose and me in the middle. That's how my business name came about. Yeah, it really symbolizes me because my business is me. I'm a service-based business. And for a lot of service-based business like yourself, you are the brand.
Yes, exactly. I love your story about your name. And it truly comes from a place of love. And when we are doing something from a place of love, only good things are going to come.
Yes.
That's for sure. So beautiful. Thank you so much for telling us that story. Now, as a virtual assistant, let's clarify the terms. What is a virtual assistant? What is he or she doing? Tell us a little bit about that. And then also how it refers to you. What kind of tasks are you performing and what is outsourced to you?
Well, a virtual assistant, it's a very broad term. Gone are the days where, every CEO and manager had their own personal assistant sitting in an office next to theirs. These days are long gone. Most executive assistants that I know that still are employed and working companies actually manage 4 or 5 or 6 managers at the same time. And that's essentially what I'm doing. I manage different people, so to speak. I always say I manage them, they don't manage me. Well, it comes in different forms. You have a virtual assistant that are general virtual assistants like me with a little bit of tech thrown in or travel for me. You have virtual assistants that focus mainly on social media management or marketing management or different points of the business that are required. You have virtual assistants that are bookkeeping wizards. So it just depends on what you need in your business. And probably come to this later in this chat about what you need to look out for. But yeah, virtual assistants can do anything. Essentially, they are your back office. You, as a business owner, you want to focus on the things that bring in clients, that bring in money. You don't want to sit there after you've been out dealing with clients all day, another 2 hours in the evening to do your emails, reply to messages, do your admin and all these things. Nobody wants to. You set up your business to be more flexible and have more time in your day in the end. You want to take your kids to school or spend time with friends or take a 2 hour time out in the middle of the day because the sun is shining. And that's where I usually come in and take some of these things off your plate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a new way of working. It has been on the market for long for those who are in the online world, who have an online brain, who are working mainly
Mhm.
from their homes or are digital nomads. And then there's only so much that you can do in one day. And you want to focus on business and not being in the business all the time. So that's when you outsource to virtual assistants, which is something that in say in a traditional form would be your secretary or assistant in the office, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
now
exactly.
much more flexible in choosing and in outsourcing things as an entrepreneur working in an online business. But also if you are working in any other in other forms, you still can have virtual assistants.
Yes, absolutely. There's brick and mortar clients that I have
Yeah.
that are plumbers or brickies or run a company, but then you also have the consultants and the coaches, which are virtual always.
Applies to all shapes and forms actually, right?
Yeah.
Now back to you, because you said usually you have 8 different or even more clients depending on how much you're doing. So there is also for you only 24/7, right? Or even or
Yes.
5 or something like that. So when it comes to doing so many things, multiple projects and clients at the same time, there's a lot of context switching and content switching going on. How do you
Mhm.
cope with that? Because you want to fully concentrate on your client, because the client usually pays you per hour, it's an hourly rate. So, how does that work?
By being the German efficient person that I am. No, but you need to be very organized as a VA. I think if you will have if you're working in the company at the moment and you're looking to becoming a VA, the main thing that you need is being organized. That's your base. But also using the tools that are available to you. You have so many different tools now. In the beginning, I just used OneNote and just written everything in there, had different tabs for my clients. Now I've been looking at different project management tools like Asana or Trello, ClickUp. There are so many of them out there. You just need to find what works best for you and for your clients. And I have different tabs for all my different clients, and I know exactly what my tasks are with them. I can say, okay, I can assign tasks to them or they assign tasks to me. It is really being organized in that way so you know exactly what you're doing. And also for me, it's allocating time for them. I know for one of my clients, the first 2 hours of the day are pretty much reserved for them because that's when they are available before their day kicks off. So we have a chat in the morning, set up their day, and off we run. And then throughout the day, I have time slots aside. Sometimes I shift them around depending on how busy I get with one client because sometimes things run over. And also prioritize what's important. If I have something that's on a deadline for a client, I'll do that first, of course. Whereas if I only have to do some data entering for another client, then, that works best as long as I know what my priorities are for that day.
Mhm. Wow, that's all very interesting. Yeah. For an entrepreneur, there is a point when you are able to afford a virtual assistant. There's also a point where you cannot do everything like it is in order to grow because you need to outsource something. So there's several
Yeah.
questions that I have really attached to that specific moment. So there is a lot of questions that come up. Whom do I choose? Where? Because there are options, virtual assistants, they approach you also in India or in the Philippines, or then you have also
Mm.
local assistants or assistants rather from the Western industrialized world, like North America and the UK. When I consider hiring a virtual assistant, how do I start? Where do I look? And how can I make sure that is a person that is aligned with who am I, with what am I doing? Because now they are maybe doing work for us, such as creating blogs, creating posts. That is something that you're putting out there because it's creating brand awareness. And how do we make
Mhm.
sure they understand who we are as a person? They understand our personal brain. They understand what we are pushing out in the market. We are creating a certain perception, a brand image, right? So
Yeah.
these are all questions we are asking ourselves. How do we go about that? What are the first steps? Is there a 3-step, 4-step, 5-step procedure that we have to apply. What is this?
Right. There are a few steps, and it's been different for each and every one of my clients because often they don't know what they need. They don't know what to outsource, and they don't know what they're looking for. So for me, the way I approach it, I usually have a discovery call with them first, or just a first meeting. If, for example, you have somebody on LinkedIn or you met somebody during a net meeting and you want to have a further chat with them. And that's quite important for me because I want to work with people that I get along with, that I can connect with, that I click with. That's quite important to me. And it should be important for you as a business owner as well, because you are going to trust your VA with a part of your business. A VA usually has a very deep insight into parts of your business because it's going to probably be dealing with your emails or creating procedures for you and things like that. So it's important that you trust that person. Trust is built over time. But if you from the beginning think maybe not, then
Yeah.
trust your gut. Always trust your gut. So that's really important, like on a personal level for me. But it's also important that it's the right fit. As I said to you earlier, you need somebody that works for you. So if you're looking for somebody to help you with social media, find a VA that specializes in that. Or if you need somebody general admin, find a VA that specializes in that. Because if you have somebody that does social media, they most likely wouldn't be able to help, or they might be able to help you with general admin, but it's always better to look for somebody that specializes in it. Also, it's very important for UK-based businesses, especially or all over the world, that your VA is insured. They have business insurance. And in the UK, you have to be ICO registered as a VA for
Mhm.
data protection purpose. That's really important. Every VA in the UK has that and should have it, or every reputable VA, should I say. And also make sure that you have a contract in place to protect you and your VA. That's really important. And with the point of virtual assistants in Asia, like India, Philippines, etc., it's a bit of a tricky one that because
Yeah.
I by no means want to diminish the work that the VAs in Asia do because they are great at what they do. I think the biggest difference is that me personally, I try to understand the business, get involved in it, look at it from a perspective that I can help and push forward that business or business owner. And that's not always the case with VAs that you find in places like Upwork, for example, or Fiverr or Time. If you're looking for somebody to just type in numbers all day or just like one specific task, absolutely go there. But if you want somebody that helps you in your business and brings your business forward with you and grows with you, it's probably best to go look.
Yeah, especially when it comes to tasks that help us to communicate to our audience, like creating websites and coming up with blog posts, post
Mhm.
on social media platforms, creating videos or podcasts, because also you need to know what to take out, what to edit out, what to leave in, and how to create the whole visual aspect around it. So you really need to know and understand.
Yeah,
And even though they give you the colors and the fonts, but still you build a relationship with your virtual assistant or
yeah,
assistant. So they really need to
yes,
understand you inside, who you are as a person, so that they can communicate that with every task they do, that intended way, in the way that
yes,
the business owner intends it to be.
yeah. If I look back at the beginning when I just started my business and I was like, oh, how am I going to compete with people in Asia because they obviously their prices are much lower and things like that. I found out very quickly that I don't have to compete with them because they're in their kind of lane and I'm in my lane, and that works out quite well.
Yeah, yeah. So could you give us, let's say, when we are considering hiring such a virtual assistant, the first three important pieces of advice that we should look at, incorporate go along these lines that you're giving us now when it comes to hiring. So what has to be in place? What is most important?
When you hire the virtual assistant, what needs to be in place is a contract. That's the base. I don't start any work with any of my clients without a signed contract. That's for me is an absolute must because I want to protect myself, but also protect my clients. You can ask your VA to send you a copy of their insurance certificate and their ICO certificate. If they have it, they're more than happy to provide that for you. That's absolutely
Oh,
no problem. One
okay.
thing maybe not to ask for is a CV because essentially we're not employees. It's always best to speak to your VA or the person that you want to hire. Have a conversation and not just like a 10, 15-minute conversation. That might be okay for the like a first initial touch point, but it's important to talk to them to find out exactly what's the right fit because they will help you also find out what you need. Because as I said, a lot of so I start off, somebody says, I need somebody to help me with my inbox. Okay. How many hours do you need? Probably 4 hours a week or 5 hours a week. Okay. Then I look at the inbox and it's going to take me maybe an hour a week because that's something I do much quicker. But then I find out, well, I also need processes set up and I need this set up and that set up. So that's how I lead. Okay, I can do that for you, or I can't do that for you, but I know somebody that could do this for you. So communication is so important.
So there's one more thing before we go to the next two steps. What also has to be in place, let's say software or communication tools that you exchange information with your virtual assistant. I think that's
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it depends on your client as well. With some client, I just communicate through email or WhatsApp. That's a very popular tool these days. And with another client, I communicate through ClickUp. Tasks are assigned there. So it just depends. Some clients already have systems in place, application or Teams or Google. There's so many different variations. But for starters, your phone, your WhatsApp, your emails, it's usually enough to communicate with your virtual assistant.
someone is really brand new when it comes to this kind of software and services. You're also the one who is setting that systems, right? And
Yes,
having
yes.
the operating procedures in place, helping them to implement that.
Exactly. It's often the case that we start communicating by email and WhatsApp and phone, and then somebody says, how can we move this forward? I have one client where we did exactly that in the beginning. Now we have set up a Trello board where we go through every morning, look at the tasks they need to, and really a great tool so everybody knows what's happening at certain tasks, especially if there's a lot of different projects involved.
All right. So first it was the contract. Then what are the other two important steps, pieces of advice that you want to give at the beginning when we start?
When you start, yeah, be open and honest with your VA. Tell them exactly what you need. That's really important. Communication especially in the beginning is very important. Your VA will probably ask you a lot of questions. Some VAs just look at your business and say, okay, yeah, that's okay, get it, okay, I can run with that. But sometimes if it's something that we usually not haven't seen before, we will ask a lot of questions in order to help you. Yes, in the beginning, it might seem a while. Person asking me so many questions. I thought they're going to give me time back, not take my time. But it takes a few weeks for the VA to run smoothly by themselves. That's quite obvious. It's like when you start in a new company, you don't pick everything up on the first day. You need to ask questions. So
Yeah. It takes some time.
open communication with me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good because you're learning from each other. There's a lot of learning, and somewhere you have to really become in sync in order to make something that has strong growth potential. And the last point,
Absolutely.
I'm picky. We have this Austrian perfectionism. We're falling into this trap as well as the Germans do. So, what's the third point?
The third point, I would say, give your VA feedback as well. If you don't like something, the way they're doing something, let them know. because we are quite flexible as VAs. I do my things a certain way. And for most of my clients, that works. The way I approach things, the way I send emails, things like that. But if you're saying that doesn't really align with me, and obviously, especially because we're talking about branding, if your brand is set up in a certain way, you want me as your VA to convey that as well in my communication. So that's really important. So if you, for example, have a completely green company, I wouldn't go out to your client and say, okay, go ahead and print all these emails out. That's quite important. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose that comes again back to communication.
Exactly. Thank you for that. You mentioned branding because branding plays a huge role. We need to always be on brand. So how can we make sure we are on brand working with a virtual assistant? Because they're helping us to get rid of this overwhelm that we have with all the tasks to do and setting all this priority. Yes.
So for me, what the last 12 months is how important branding is, especially for a service-based business. I am my brand. My brand colors include purple and orange. That's on my website, that's on my social media, and I've stuck with that color scheme. And people recognize it now. And visibility in branding is key. It's so important, especially when you're just starting out. A consistent brand is key. And what I just mentioned there, you as a brand or you as a business, you have your brand. And me as a VA, I need to convey that brand if I am in contact with clients or if I'm working with you. So it's quite important. And also, when I look at a business, I also see, okay, this is the way they work. This is the way I need to adapt as well and convey what you as a business are doing. As a virtual assistant, we look at it with fresh eyes. So I come into a business and I look at it with fresh eyes and I'm looking at it and say, okay, why aren't you doing this way? But I look at it and see what can be improved and how we can even maybe push that brand even further and develop it.
I really like that. I see your point because you are always having this outside perspective of something that I do not have as being my brain. And then you have another advantage because we always see when you have different clients and is she able to focus on me? But
Mhm.
you see it in a positive way because you have different other clients, they all have their brain. So whatever they are doing might be giving you also some ideas of what could be implemented for my business. So
Absolutely.
you have this perspective from a virtual assistant. What can I bring in and help him or her grow with the business? I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is so true. There's so many things that I can apply to different businesses. For example, I have two businesses which are fairly similar to one another on two different ends of the country
Uh-huh.
and also on two different scales, but the kind of ground tasks are very similar. So I can okay, I'm doing this for them. Okay, I could maybe suggest that to do it that way for these guys as well. So it really works out because I'm in a really privileged position as a virtual assistant because I get insight into so many different businesses. And it's really interesting. And I learn from every business that I work with, and I can apply that into another business. So, yeah, it works really well
Yeah. I'm very happy
for
for.
both sides.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a win-win situation. I want to ask you one more thing because you also have a specialization. You are also in a certain niche. You mentioned traveling before, and you're also a virtual assistant when it comes to traveling. You a travel agency. So how does that work?
Yes, I am indeed. I'm an independent travel agent, also next to my virtual business. Business? Sorry. I haven't been talking this much in a while. So, yeah, last year, because I've been booking a lot of travel for my clients last year. And I thought there must be a better way of me doing this. And I got to talk to another virtual assistant that specializes in the travel industry as well. And she said, well, let me get you in touch with some people. And I did my training because as an independent travel agent in the UK, you need to be APTA and ATOL certified. You need to go a lot of training, a lot of GDPR and all the fun stuff that you sit through. But because I've been traveling a lot in the past and I love traveling, I've been living in different countries. So for me, it's really close to my heart and
Mm.
it's just so much fun. And the good thing about it is, yes, the travel side started from my virtual assistant business, but it's a service that I can offer to everybody, not just to my clients, but everybody living in the UK. I can offer this as a service. It's like walking into your travel agent on the high street, just that I do it virtually and I do it much more personalized. Again, the personalized thing comes in a lot in my business. Because, okay, what exactly are you looking for? Because booking travel can be so stressful for people because they go down rabbit holes. Okay, there's 15 hotels in Ibiza, for example. Which one do I choose? What exactly do I do? And sometimes it helps them. Here are three choices. Which ones of these do you think is best? That one, right? But not 100% right. So let me go in deeper. But yeah, it's a complimentary service for my clients. So they love it. And yeah, plus the added bonus is that I'm getting to look at all these amazing places. So far, my clients have refused to take me along with them. I offered to fit in a suitcase, but no, so far, no.
Yeah. I like traveling as well. As a former flight attendant in my, I always say, previous life or in my early 20s, it was just wonderful to get to know the world and get to know different people from different countries and really get an understanding
Yes,
of how they live and how they think and how they perceive things. I love that. And being in that space, in that traveling sphere, is just a very enriching life and it's inspiring. And for you, you have also seen the
absolutely.
world, so you work with people. And I love what you're saying. Again, it comes back to my personal, it's very personal. You say my personal story. And this is important because with your personal stories, people get to know you, people like you, connect with them, and then people want to work with you. That's how it is. And I really like that. Yeah, Ina, we are almost at the end. Is there anything we have forgotten when it comes to helping coaches and consultants and travelers to reduce their overwhelm?
Maybe there's one thing that might be that kind of falls into the kind of starting of the journey to outsourcing is determining which tasks to outsource. Just need to have a quick drink because
Yeah.
right. So which tasks to outsource? In the beginning, I would say tasks that are repetitive and quite quick to explain. For example, inbox and diary management are ideal as a start because the VA gains good insight into the business through the emails. I see exactly what's coming in, what's going out, how does the business communicate, etc. But what I usually tell business owners that are a bit at a loss is take down a notepad, write down all of the tasks they do throughout the week. Just know it next to your mouse, have a wee notepad and write things down. Then take a few highlighters
Yeah.
and mark tasks that only you can do. For example, if it's a coach, they'll be doing the coaching. I'm not going to do the coaching and the quoting and things like that. And then mark these tasks green or yellow or whatever your favorite color is. And then mark the other tasks that you think you might outsource in the future. Maybe mark them orange. And then the ones that are left, these are the tasks you can outsource.
Yeah.
Your day to day easy tasks, so to speak, but there are time wasters for you. You don't need to do them. You can outsource.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, most importantly, talk to your VA.
Yeah.
We often have the insight of what we can pick up. I said that before. But as a wee tool, the highlighting thing works quite well. It's for me and for my clients.
Yeah. I think that is a really good exercise, and I would do it even twice. I would run through it once. And then because we are having a hard time letting go of things because we always think we have to do it, only we can do it. But that's not true. There are things that someone else can do as well. So I think I would give it a second look because there are some things it's just hard to let go and delegate to someone else. I know that myself because we always think we're doing it best and no one else can do it. I think that's a good exercise also to let things go.
I always say to my clients, you are not a chicken. Let go of your egg.
That's good. I like that. That's good. I remember that. Ina, we are at the end of our show, and I would like to do a quick word wrap with you. Some rapid fire terms I'm throwing at you, and I want a short and quick answer. Is that good?
Oh, okay. I'm not really that, but let's give it.
Okay. The first word is Germany. What comes up top of mind?
Efficiency.
Okay. Women leadership.
On the rise.
Travel.
Love it.
Passion.
I have it in abundance.
Oh, that's beautiful. And then last but not least, brands.
Brands, super important for business owners.
Yes, very good. And for anyone else, but you see it from that perspective here, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I have all your links. So your link tree is the link where people can find you. I will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being my guest today, talking about your business, what virtual assistance is all about. And thank you so much for being you and being here. And I think people are lucky to get you with your German efficiency. You're doing an awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Brigitte. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you.